Greetings, citizens. Well, today I want to give you my report on patch 2.4s. Here's one of the first things that you see is still going on when you select the ship. It still doesn't say what landing pad you're on, and you can see there from my looking up the ships are still spawning in the air. This patch, of course, does have better frame rate overall, but it still presents, they're getting some periodic freezes. I've gotten freezes up to 10 seconds long, give or take, during the middle of a dogfight, which can be problematic. But I think this has something to do, you see little hitches right here, actually, in this video. Basically with their net code, the server code or whatever, and that's something they're going to have to address. I don't think it's the anything on the client side. Port modification is still having some issues. You can basically add maybe one item, 2 items, and then basically after that it'll stop functioning. And it's still doing the basic hang up where you try to equip an item that's not equipped currently to another vehicle. Let's say you've got a stack of missiles like I have, or these Rattler 2s, and it'll say like you have 7 available, and you go ahead and put one on, it'll recognize that one. But if you go ahead and then go to the next one to apply a Rattler 2, which you should have now 6 remaining, it still says 7, and all you're doing at that point in time is shuffling missiles around. So the only thing you can do to kind of make it stick is you have to go ahead and equip the missile, and as far as I can tell, fly over to the refill station, buy the missile, land the ship back, resummon the ship, and then do it again. That's the closest thing I found, being able to get a full amount of 6 Rattlers on there. And so this is something they're going to have to address. This is kind of the problem that continued from yesterday's patch, and it's definitely a bug. As a quick addendum on this, when you do actually equip an item, the slot will say at the top, like currently equipped, as you see in the little window. But when you actually mouse over the port, it won't actually say an item in there. And sometimes it'll just lock up saying processing, and that's all you get out of it, either until you disconnect from the server or you resummon the ship. So it's just another little layer on that. The missions seem to be working normally today. Pirates spawn, and they seem to scale to the amount of players that are there. And I didn't encounter any errors really. There was a couple weird times when I got out of the cockpit though, and the ship went ballistic. I'll see if I can find a clip of that for you. But yeah, the missions are working fine again, and I really think that this patch overall is, well, I would say not as good as Q. It's definitely better than the last one. And so yeah, good times. But that's something they need to work on the network code. It's just, to me, it's just clear that this is really becoming the bottleneck for Star Citizen, is their network code. And I think this is where they need to spend the majority of their time before doing any other major updates. Yeah, see, like you got your ship, sometime you get thrown like that, so that's kind of weird too. So it gets disorienting, so they still need to work on stuff like that. And frankly, to be honest with you, I think they still need to make landing gear a hard button, instead of having it decide that you're in the proximity of something, so you need to keep opening and closing the landing gear. So if they could just do something like that, I think that would make the game a bit more immersive. I hate getting into my ship and watching the landing gear retract and extend a couple hundred times. Refueling and refitting, buying ammo and things like that seems to be working fine for the most part. The only errors you really get here is, once again, when you're having network code issues, delay, or the server basically has some sort of issue where you're looking at the menu and you haven't touched anything, but it'll close it. And there's been a couple times, like here, I had to take off and land again because it wouldn't pull it back up. So, but no big deal. I mean, you can see here how expensive missiles are, actually, 2713. And I think that's going to be the big balance when it comes to missiles. Now they just need to make them more effective. But, you know, if you got to understand, the best you can make on a mission is about 2500. So if you're spending 2713 there for just I don't think it was a full complement of missiles. It shows you that just basically firing them off just willy-nilly is really not going to net you a profit, and you're going to want to use those sparingly. Finally, I want to get into personal items. Armor does work with EVA still, which is great because they've broken that a few times in the past. And also as well with personal weapons, you still can't buy ammo. It basically sits there processing that ammo purchase forever. And if you log out or disconnected or something along those lines, you come back into the game, uh, basically you're going to have to go back to the gun store to unequip and re-equip the weapon. And basically, you can see some of those freezes here. And basically, then it'll put the scope or whatever back onto the weapon. But if you just go out while you'll have it, you won't have the scope or anything equipped. That also was true last patch as well. So hopefully they can iron that out, because it always seems to forget what you have attached. But I think that's because they're going for a fairly complex attachment system, and with all the basic errors we're getting right now with the whole port modification system, it doesn't really surprise me to see that as being part of the issue as well. Anyway, guys, as I said, this is better than the last patch. It's definitely more playable. The fact that I could actually play it. Uh, Other than the freezes, the frame rate itself is solid. So I think this is better. I think they're doing a lot of back end changes to their network, or the network code is causing a lot of these issues. So I don't think it's client side. So I gotta give them a few more patches, maybe. Maybe we'll get this ironed out. Maybe we'll have it out next week. I just don't see it happening this week, guys, unless they come out with some miracle code tomorrow. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time. That's insane. If you see a point of light in space, that actually might not be a star. It might be a hornet firing at you. Do not go into the light, because that is just,
You're blind. I'm blind.
and
Oh.